Hello again, fellow Singaporeans, especially residents of Pasir Ris Punggol. I thank you once again for joining us on another live episode. And you can ask us as many questions in this beautiful session. We're just doing this because live rallies are not being allowed. So the Singapore Democratic Alliance, of course, wants to connect with you and make sure that we have an opportunity to speak to you and share with you a lot of beautiful messages. In return, answer all your questions. So share this with all your friends, forward it to all your contacts, and make sure you even copy the link and share it on WhatsApp like you all did in the past videos. And if you look at this page itself and many of the other Singapore Democratic Alliance pages and also the Singapore Justice Party pages and many other Facebook pages, they're all supporting us by sharing this live video at the same time. Now, I'll also let you know something very important. The comments that you're going to be sharing with us, we will be reading them, and if possible, I'll answer most of your questions. And if I miss any of these questions, feel free to WhatsApp us or just write to us in the messenger box, because we are here with you and for you. And I'll tell you something, this is a totally unprecedented general election that's going to take place during a very difficult time for all Singaporeans. And I shared with you in the last message that we find that very irresponsible. So if you missed all our previous videos, do check them out. And also, if you scroll below, you will see some videos of real rallies that we did in 2011 and 2015. Because it has been 13 years that the Singapore Democratic Alliance has been serving residents in Pasir Ris Punggol. And I was also asked by the mainstream media yesterday at our walkabouts in Pasir Ris MRT station area that what do you have to comment about the third party that's coming in, the three-corner fight. And our comments are this. And Mr. Desmond Lim, Mr. Abu Muhammad, and all our other candidates, Mr. Kelvin Ong, and not to mention Mr. Kushwadi, were also standing with me. And as we answered the media corp, we told them with total conviction that we are still confident because we have been serving the residents for the last 13 years in Pasir Ris Punggol. You know, every day lunch boxes go out to all the needy residents, plus the elderly who are now staying at home and they don't have anyone to meet up or even speak to. And they come down, it's a time for them to have a good interaction with their friends. And most importantly, many of the volunteers there already know us and they have been helping us for many years. And Pasir Ris Punggol residents have also been benefiting from legal aid, medical aid, and not to mention a lot of outings that we bring residents for, and even simple things like haircuts and other services that we have been providing. And I want to say this very strongly. Yes, of course, it was painful to know that we are the only GRC with a three-corner fight in Singapore. But the number of messages and the number of support messages that we have received since yesterday are amazing. They are saying maybe you should take it totally positive that you were taken as a possible winner of this election, and that's why a third party has come in to literally dilute your chances, although they just came in the last few months being active in Pasir Ris Punggol. And as Mr. Desmond Lim yesterday told on mainstream media, he calls them like a hot balloon, hot air balloon parachuting. And I think that's a very nice way of putting it, which Mr. Desmond Lim very seriously said it. Because if this had been an opportunity for us to have a one-on-one with the PAP, then I assure you, we would have had greater opportunity to be there for you and speak up for your issues. But not to worry, my team and I are ready for this election. We are on the ground right now, even as I'm speaking to you. And the whole morning, this morning, we were also on block visits. We were at the shopping centers. We were everywhere. And now in the evening, we decided to have this interaction with you, to share with you. And if you don't get an opportunity to listen to this whole entire presentation and whole entire message that I'm going to be sharing with you, especially on the pain points of Singaporeans, especially on what we are going to fight for you in this upcoming election, not to worry. Please come back again. Make sure you listen to it. And most importantly, put your comments at the box below and let us know what your thoughts are, or send us a WhatsApp message on our SMS or messenger box. And please be our ambassador, be our voice to forward this so that we can be elected in this coming election and be your voice in Parliament. And I just hope, my team and I, we hope that you are staying well and safe as we battle the COVID-19 situation, pandemic, and the resulting economic consequences. We understand your pain, the pain of every Singaporean due to the bad policies of the outgoing government. And in the next 9 days, let's remember this very important point, that in the 9 days time, all of us Singaporeans will be heading to the polls. 2.65 million people, registered voters, and I'll tell you something, we will decide who will represent Singapore and Singaporeans in the 93 seats that are going to be across 17 GRCs and 14 SMCs. Here in the Singapore Democratic Alliance SDA, we decided to focus our efforts on Pasir Ris Punggol, where we have been running for the last 2 elections, where we have been serving residents for the last 13 years, especially the last 5 years, very, very consistently. And firstly, for many reasons, everyone says this is a totally precedented general election. For many reasons, in fact, please comment more, and I will also share with you what our panel of analysts and our candidates here have shared. Firstly, think about it. The timing of the polls is very strange. A lot of parties have also voiced this same concern, that Singaporeans are very disappointed. Every day as I knock on the doors, every day as I speak to more and more Singaporeans, including those I meet at shopping centers, at the MRT stations, along the walkways, many Singaporeans are totally disappointed. Disappointed in the fact that the PAP has been very irresponsible in calling for this election at least 9 months ahead of time. 9 months we still have, and who knows, by then maybe we could have found the solution to curing the pandemic, or a vaccine could have come up, or maybe it would have become much more safer. We have 9 months to go, my friends, and they are calling for an election at this point. Ask yourself, touch your heart, ask yourself, why are they rushing for the election at a time when the pandemic is going on, at a time when dengue cases are rising, at a time when economic issues that all of us Singaporeans are facing are going up and up? Why are they being so responsible? And in the future, if allowed to be the only you can say party in parliament, they will carry on making decisions which may not serve the best interest of Singaporeans. So I please humbly urge you to give us this opportunity to serve you, to elect us, to be your voice in parliament and speak up for you, especially also your families, and most importantly for people in Singapore who don't actually have a voice to speak up for the troubles they are facing. And I thank you in advance. Talking about thank you, I also want to especially thank, on behalf of all of us 5 candidates who have joined me here in the studio, all of us give our heartfelt appreciation and thank you to our brave healthcare workers who are already fighting day and night, day in and day out, in order to provide care to the COVID-19 patients, as well as to ensure other patients can still get the medical care they need. I just take a minute to just share with you something very important. I had a little fainting spell on one of the walkabouts because we were working until 2-3 a.m. every night to make sure not only we visit all the residents and cover all the blocks completely, but after that we had long meetings to come up with manifestos, to come up with the action plans, to come up with policy matters that we want to raise for all Singaporeans. And maybe I did not get enough rest. I fainted. They brought me to the hospital. An ambulance came. And I also want to say thank you to the front line staff, to the first responders, and also the ambulance staff and the people at A&E that took care of me that whole night. But I'll tell you something very painful. This may be very sad. I did not want to share this, but after speaking to Mr. Desmond Lim in detail and the other leaders in the party, they said, I know it is quite a shameful thing to share on behalf of a first world country, but as an alternative party politician, it is our duty to bring up these kind of issues. And this, what I'm going to share with you in the next 1-2 minutes, is what I personally went through that night when I fainted, when I fell on the streets and they revived, or they got me together, they got me into ambulance, brought me to A&E. And after the medical doctor did all his checkups, took my blood test, did many other tests, I was free from COVID-19. That's a good relief, and I felt very much at ease too. And Mr. Desmond was there with me until 12 midnight. Kelvin Ong, another candidate, took me to hospital in the ambulance, was there with me until late, and every member of the SDA was concerned, always on our social channel. But what I'm going to share next is going to be very painful, because when the doctor came back initially, he said, maybe I think you're okay to go home, discharge, and take care of yourself in these particular ways, he advised me. But after a second reading of my medical test, he says, maybe I should keep you in here for observation for a while, maybe a few days, to make sure you get totally much better in every way. And I agreed reluctantly. And I'll tell you what happened next. After they had registered me, which was a few hours later, because there was so much traffic there. But before I tell you what happened next, one of the main doctors who was examining me, she used the next word, and she said, I am sorry, I'm taking too long because I'm totally overwhelmed. And I see that all our medical frontline staff were overwhelmed, not only that night, but all this time during COVID-19. And the doctor telling me that, and I said, no, don't worry. In fact, I'm thankful you're taking care of me. No need to worry, take your time. A few hours later, as I was registered and I was going to be pushed in to a ward, they told me, listen, Mr. Singh, we are sorry. All ward beds are full. We will only be able to give you a bed tomorrow at 11:30 or maybe a little bit later after the other patients move out. But for tonight, can we keep you in the observation ward and maybe you can relax there? Now, I thought in the observation ward, no problems. I'll stay there for the next 7, 8, 9 hours, and at 11:30, I'll get a bed for me to get warded in. But I'll tell you the sad news. As the head nurse pushed me into the observation wards, all beds, and there were tens and tens of beds in multiple rooms of the observation wards, were totally filled. And this was in the middle of the night at about 3, 4 a.m. that same night. And I'll tell you something, I saw so many elderly Singaporeans, I saw so many other fellow Singaporeans, all in multiple beds, but it was just too overcrowded and there was no extra bed left. And in the corner, she opened another door to check another observation ward. She went to the other side, and finally, to even the short stay ward, she pushed me in there to see if there was a bed available. And I'll tell you something, there was not even one single bed, forget about in the hospital, but even in the observation ward. And what I saw in the corner made my heart melt. I saw elderly Singaporeans who were in wheelchairs, just had a blanket on them, and they were just waiting for a bed to be available. And that's when I moved back to the doctor and I said, sir, I think there are so many others who need these beds much more than me. I will promise to come back when there is more availability to have more checkups. And I will promise to rest at home, take good care of my health, get good sleep, get good nourishment, get good water. But I see these fellow Singaporeans who are sitting in wheelchairs or sleeping in wheelchairs at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, waiting for a bed. And that's when the medical frontline staff told me, yes, Mr. Singh, because part of the hospital has been reserved for COVID-19, we are really overwhelmed. So at this point, I want to tell you something, my fellow Singaporeans. For a first world country, I may be wrong in the numbers, but I was told by one of our friends here, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but we only have, for every 1,000 Singaporeans, 2.3 beds available. That is one of the lowest numbers compared to all other first world or developed countries. And it is very, very painful. If you stay with me, I'll share with you, we only spend about 39% of our annual returns on social, medical and other needs. When countries like Thailand, when countries nearby like South Korea spend even up to 50%. Now these are issues because anybody can fall sick. All my life I had this denial, or I had this confidence in myself that no, I'll always be healthy. But a few days, a few weeks on the ground as we age, as I aged, and sleeping very late, waking up very early, not getting proper food, and I fainted on that walkabout. And I'll tell you something, it has humbled me to maybe think that all of us can have these kind of problems in our life. But we cannot allow the government to have so little beds available where I was pushed in. And if I hadn't seen this with my own eyes, I would not have believed this. So I'm very sorry I'm sharing this because it could be a very shameful thing for a country of a first world status, for such a rich country to not have enough beds, not only in the hospital, but even the observation wards. to temporarily hold us Singaporeans. But this is painful, my dear friends. And if you are listening to this, share it with your friends, forward it to everybody. Tell them we need an alternative voice. And even if just the SDA is elected in Pasir Ris Punggol, if only the 5 of us get in there, we promise to speak not only for Pasir Ris Punggol, but for every citizen of this country. Because Singapore, my land, is what we really, truly believe in and stand for. Thank you. So coming back to thank you, I just sometimes get very worked up about this issue because we are having an aging population, and you know that and I know that. Not only myself, maybe in your family too, there are aging parents, aging relatives, and you need to think about yourself, and I need to start thinking about myself too, because we are also aging. I cannot be in denial anymore. I always thought I was that young man, sweet 16, full of energy, full of vigor, and able to run day and night. But no, that episode, and I was ashamed and embarrassed that it happened on national television. But I'm going to say something. It had a lesson not only for me to take care and be personally responsible for my health, but I urge you, every Singaporean, to also take personal responsibility for each other and your personal health too. So let's say thank you to our brave healthcare professionals who have been taking care of all of us, fighting day and night, day in and day out. They have been doing this in order to make sure and take care of all COVID-19 patients, as well as to ensure that other patients can still get the medical care that we Singaporeans need. I want to say something, that a truly compassionate, responsible government would be dedicating every resource, every spare minute, every second of every day in supporting our healthcare workers and the heroes and the heroines of our healthcare, and helping Singaporeans go through these difficult times and helping people succeed. But instead, they are calling for an election 9 months ahead of time that is necessary. So instead of, I tell you something, the outgoing government has totally diverted a lot of time, effort, money, and attention away from the real bread and butter issues, the medical issues of the pandemic, the economic issues of the pandemic, and all other issues that are being faced by Singaporeans. And they have forced this general election upon the entire nation, while exposing, and I repeat that, you, exposing me, exposing your loved ones, exposing all Singaporeans, all of us, to unnecessary risks to our health and to our well-being. But what is done is done. And some people I met yesterday after the nomination day, they said, Palji, there is no way we can change this unless we have a 2/3 majority in parliament. Yes, there is nothing we can do about this. We will always talk about it, we'll always complain, we'll always in hindsight say this should have been done or that should be done. But unless we have 2/3, or rather we have at least 1/3 of alternative voices in parliament, they will always continue to make these kind of irresponsible decisions. So I urge you to give us your support to the SDA in this election and support all other alternative parties, because the Singapore Democratic Alliance believes in all parties coming together. After all, we are the only alliance in this beautiful country. So support us, give us your vote this coming election. Because what is done is done. Think about it. What can we do now is to not allow such unilateral actions to be taken ever again by any government. If they have too many of their own people in parliament, they are going to continue taking unilateral actions, and some of these are going to be against the benefits of Singapore and Singaporeans. And we must ensure that future elected representatives never again ignore the wishes of the people. Because most people were saying, you still have 9 months more. Why the rush? Touch your heart. Ask yourself, why the rush? So I want you to say, as a ready and responsible party, and I remind this as SDA, as a ready and responsible party, the Singapore Democratic Alliance has put ourselves forward in Pasir Ris Punggol for the 3rd time as candidates to represent your concerns, to represent your aspirations, to represent your views in Parliament, and not just the residents of Pasir Ris Punggol, but we will do that for everyone Singaporean here. But if you have friends who are staying in Pasir Ris Punggol, please forward this video to them. Tell them to give SDA their support, give SDA their vote, because without your support, without your vote in this election, I can make 1 million more videos, but I will not be able to bring your voice to Parliament where it really matters. I really need you to support us so we are elected. Please forward this video to your friends, to your families in Pasir Ris Punggol, because the vote they hold in their hands is a super powerful ballot vote that they have the power to change what is happening. The change will be for the better, and we promise to speak to make your lives and lives of your children much better, better and better. And I want to say something very important. As a voter in Pasir Ris Punggol, you have an important choice to make on the 10th of July, my dear friends. On the 10th of July, make a very informed choice. And that's why we are sharing all these videos. If you look below on this page, there are also our full detailed manifesto, which will cover the 4 main pains that Singaporeans are facing, and then the 4 main solutions we have for policy changes. All this I will also cover briefly in a few minutes' time. So watch this video till the end, and if you have to go somewhere, come back and watch it and listen to it again and again, and share with everybody. Share with everybody, because this is the humble appeal we have, because we are not million-dollar ministers to have that kind of salaries. I wanted to boost the previous video, and Facebook gave us a very, very high figure to reach all Singaporeans, about 1.2 million to 3.2 million. The budget we need is $50,000. Now, we don't have that kind of budget. We tried to narrow it down to just Pasir Ris Punggol, taking a 5-kilometer radius from Pasir Ris MRT and 5 kilometers from Punggol MRT. Even for that small group of people, residents there, Facebook, the budget required is $8,000 to boost the post. I will tell you very honestly, we do not have those kind of budgets. Of course, if you want to sponsor, you are more than welcome to contact us, because every dollar you spend, every dollar you support us will help us to reach more and more Singaporeans. And just to reach Pasir Ris Punggol residents alone, we need minimum $8,000 for one video. So every day we will produce these things, and we have also taken our manifesto, made it into smaller parts, easy to understand. But if there is no one watching it, there is no reach, then there is no effectiveness. For that, we need your help. Either just click on the share button, click on forward, copy and paste this link and share with everybody in all your WhatsApp groups, in all other social media channels, or reach out to us. And if you want, the good news is the elections department has clarified that we can actually put your name, that this video is sponsored by this wonderful person, and you will also be mentioned. But if you do not want your name to be there, we respect your privacy and no names will be mentioned. It will be an anonymous donation. Every dollar will go towards making sure this message reaches the voters, because I repeat this again, as a voter, especially in Pasir Ris Punggol GRC, you have an important choice to make on the 10th of July, to make an informed choice. I hope you will give us this opportunity to serve you, and we will be there not only to speak up for you, but to listen to what your needs are, to listen to all your hopes and desires and aspirations. And we pray you make your vote count by voting for SDA in this election to speak up for you. I thank you once again, because in the days to come, like today, I will be sharing more of our policy proposals as well as concrete action plans for our community and town council. And you'll be very happy to know that when Mr. Chiam Sitong was in Potong Pasir, our candidate Mr. Desmond Lim, who is also the chairman of SDA, he was the main person in charge of the town council. So Pasir Ris Punggol GRC, You are very, very lucky and blessed that our leader who is leading us in this election, he has all that good experience from Mr. Cham Sitong's time in Potong Pasir until today to run excellent town councils. If they could do a good job, the main man behind Mr. Cham Sitong, who was running the town councils, Mr. Desmond Lim, he has this beautiful experience to run town councils. So we promise you, Pasir Ris Punggol, your estate will be very well taken care of. Everything will be maintained to the best of our abilities because we have done it before, maybe on a smaller scale, and it's very easy for us to scale it up. So thank you for giving us this support, because I promise you, we have concrete action plans for our community in Pasir Ris Punggol, for the community of Singaporeans as a whole, and most importantly, for the town council in Pasir Ris Punggol. So if you have friends staying in that area, please tell them to give us the vote, give us the support, vote for SDA. I thank you again. So please, on that note, before I end, and I'm going to cover some of the important pain points that we're going to stand up for and the policy matters in 1 minute. But I urge you once again, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, please type it in the comment box below. And if I can't answer them online right now, I promise to get the answers and get back to you as soon as possible. And if you want, you can WhatsApp us also, and we will directly respond to you, or click on the Get Started button on this page. It will lead you to our messenger. And I'm already every day getting more and more questions, and we are more than happy to answer them. And secondly, I'm also getting a lot of advice from all of you to take care of our health, to be there and not just to sacrifice our life for Singaporeans, but we are willing to do that. And there was a comment, thank you for sacrificing even your life and willing to go to that extent. We are, because we feel the pain you feel, we feel the pain your families feel, we feel the pain, every Singaporean's pain of the bad policies of the outgoing government, and we cannot allow them to unilaterally carry on making such decisions. If you vote for us, we will be able to make sure they do not come out with bad policies that will be bad for the future of not only yourself, but your children too. Give us your support, vote for SDA. And don't forget, our numbers are also in the description box of all these videos, or just comment and we will also send you a WhatsApp number so you can directly liaise with us and give us your feedback and grow this support and be a very useful part of the community. Finally, I have a very humble request. If you do find this sharing informative, or at least even worth some thought, we hope you will share it with your friends all over Singapore, but mostly with also your friends and loved ones, especially if they are living in Pasir Ris Punggol, because they have an opportunity, and we are a very responsible party, because we did not have unlimited resources, because we had limited resources. We decided to forego all other fights in SMCs and GRCs and only focus on Pasir Ris Punggol, because we have been here for the last 13 years. We were running for the last 2 elections, and even yesterday as I was knocking on all the doors, the lady looked at me and said, behind your mask, I recognize your eyes. Yes, because we were wearing masks, she couldn't see the rest of me. But I recognize your eyes. She said it and she laughed. She laughed so loud. But that's why we don't want to lose this rapport. And even though there's a 3-corner fight, we are very disappointed and saddened that they could, when they had a choice to go to so many other SMCs and GRCs, they decided to come into Pasir Ris and form a 3-corner fight when they just have been on the ground for the last few months or a year or so. But we have been serving you for the last 13 years. Please give us your support. We want opposition unity, and as an alliance, if we get elected, I assure you, we will work towards making the unity even more stronger and making sure that all alternative parties come together. Of course, even if we don't get elected, we will do the same. And I reach out to every member, every candidate of all alternative parties. Come together. Let's work together. This is a small country. Why have 10 different parties fighting with the incumbent. Maybe it's time we also came together. We respect your individual parties, remain where you are, but as an alliance, maybe we'll have a closer tie-up, because remember, together everyone achieves more. As a team, let's work together to make Singapore better, because it is our very strong conviction, Singapore, my land. And I will keep repeating that. Thank you. Finally, together, let's not forget that we can make a difference. My dear friends, together we can make our voices heard. And with pride, we can say together, Majulah Singapura. That forward going, making sure that Singapore goes forward and upwards and rises to greater heights. But I need your help. Only together we can make this happen. So be part of the team. Make Singapore better. Be part of the team to bring our lives into greater heights. And I will just say something towards the close of this short presentation. And if you do have some comments, and I'm seeing some beautiful comments, maybe I'll just quickly, thank you, sir. You have written here, best of luck. Dear Sergi, thank you, Sukhbir, for your beautiful comment. I've got a nice comment from Mr. Raymond. He says, please do not miss this time. And all Singaporeans are looking towards you. Oh, very good. Thank you, Mr. Raymond. I'm not reading out full names because I still respect your privacy, but please comment. And Mr. Raymond says, please do not miss this time and opportunity for all Singaporeans to support the opposition parties and make us members of the parliament for future better life. It's okay if the English is a little bit imbalanced. It's all right. We get your message. I thank you, Mr. Raymond. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sukhbir, for your good messages too. The next name is written in Chinese fonts. I can't read that. 我一点一点讲华语，你好吗？好，谢谢。我一点一点讲华语. I can't speak much. I can't read the Chinese fonts, so I can't say your name. But his comment says, keep going as we stand by you. I thank you. I like your picture. He's very confidently smiling. I can't read your names, but thank you, sir. He says, keep going as we stand by you. That's very good. And the next comment, good, same question. I hope Victor. Victor says, Ayo, what a nice way of putting it. Victor says, but why create a three-corner fight in Pasir Ris Punggol? It only creates an advantage for PAP. Yes, Victor, I agree with you. It is creating advantage for the incumbent party PAP. And this is a good question. Why did they want to come here and create a three-corner fight? And as I've said, we found it you can say our responsibility after having been in 13 years in Pasir Ris Punggol, and after having stood for the last two general elections, we found it our duty and responsibility to come back again to Pasir Ris Punggol to stand up for the people, because that is exactly what they wanted us to do. And we agree with you, Victor. Why did they come when they have got so many other SMCs and GRCs to go to? It is okay. We still respect. Everyone has a free choice to go anywhere. And I'm going to say something very important. I remember in the 2011 elections when I first ran for Pasir Ris Punggol with the SDA team. If I remember correctly, we had 35.7% of the votes in that election. I just pray 35.7% of the votes this time, and maybe even much more, are still given to Singapore Democratic Alliance SDA. Because if you give us 35.7% of the votes, and if the other two parties divide the other remaining votes equally, that will give us that opportunity to win. Of course, the win should be more than 51% and above. But because it's a three-corner fight, I remember 35.7% of you, my dear residents in Pasir Ris Punggol, you voted for us back in 2011. Even in the 2015 general election, we were the third highest vote count among all parties that contested. Of course, the first highest count went to the PAP, the second highest count went to Workers' Party, and the third highest count of votes all over Singapore went to the Singapore Democratic Alliance. So I want to say thank you to voters in Pasir Ris Punggol for your support in 2011, for your support in 2015. And if you continue giving us that support, and even if just 35.7% of you who voted for us back in 2011 vote for us, I will be your voice. We will be standing up for you. We will be speaking for you. We will be serving you for not only the next 5 years, for as many more years that you want us to serve. And I will put it this way to you. It's a no risk guarantee I give you. If we do not serve you for the next one term, in the following elections, don't give us your support. I am not here to stick around even when I'm no good. And my team stands by it. I see them all nodding their heads going, yes, correct. We only ask for one chance. Because if you don't even give us one chance, you will never know how good the alternative parties can be. One chance, my fellow residents of Pasir Ris Punggol. And if you don't stay there, please share this with everybody. Tell your friends and families and loved ones to give us a chance. Only 35.7%. The first 2011 election that I was there in Pasir Ris, if that same number gives me this support and the other two parties divide the balance equally, we will still be able to serve you. And if we are still the third highest vote count, like we were in 2015 general election all over Singapore, the SDA was the third highest, we will still have a standing chance. But if you do not vote for us, remember, this time a lot of people are expecting the PAP to have a clean sweep of all the votes. In fact, after nomination day, some people told me, no need to do anything. Don't waste your time, your money, your effort, Palji. This was messages I received even yesterday, because they are saying PAP is going to win anyway. All you guys doing all this hard work, no need. Go back home and go and rest. Go and rest. Prepare another 5 years later for another election. But I want to say this much. I don't even know whether I will be there 5 years later, whether I'll still be alive, because I'll tell you something. 5 years ago, my energy level was even much higher than where it is today. 10 years ago, 2 elections ago, it was even much higher. I could have served you with even much more power. Today, whatever power I have, don't let it go away. In the next 5 years, as we grow older, we all will become weaker. We may not be able to speak up that strongly to fight for the issues. Today is a chance. This election on 10th of July is an opportunity for us to be there only if you vote for us. So thank you, Victor. I hope that clarifies your comment. And I like the next one. Mr. Gurdeep says, good luck, Mr. Harminder Pal Singh. Thank you, sir, for your well wishes. And not just him, but so many other good luck wishes that are coming in. And I see a lot more comments that are coming in. I want to just say something to you, my dear friends. Keep commenting, keep telling us what you want. There are over 61 engagements and comments. Wow. Another Chinese name, I can't read the fonts, but he says, keep it up, rooting for you guys with a yellow smiling face. Thank you, sir. It's a group photo there. Very good. He writes in the next comment a few minutes later, it's okay, I speak English. Thank you, sir. I know you are still listening to this. Oh, wow. Thank you. And I can see your comments. I also want to say thank you, Kiran. She writes, wah, 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 Balay Punjabi Sher. Well, that's, Punjabis are the people where I come from. It's called Punjab, and a sher is a lion. Actually, we are in a lion city, think about it. And the word Singh, that's what our names have. For all guys, we call them Singh, and the girls are called Kaur. The Kaur means a princess. The Singh means a lion. So thank you, Kiran, for writing a beautiful comment. She says, wah, wah, Balay Punjabi Sher. Thank you for your support. And I see another beautiful message a few minutes ago. It says, all the best. Hope to see you soon. Yes, sir. All the best, and I hope to see you soon too, serving you. As the beautiful component party and the alliance in Pasir Ris Punggol and in Parliament. Because I'll tell you something, touch your heart and ask yourself, has your life actually got better over the last 10 years? Has the life of your friends and your loved ones got better over the last 10 years? And most Singaporeans were meeting on the road. I met Mr. Ahmad yesterday. He says, no, Palji, buruk, sudah worse lah. Bang, and he called me Bang. He says, Abang, Abang I think means elder brother, correct? He said, Bang, buruk lah kita. We are having so much difficulties in half Malay, half English. And I'll tell you something, not only Mr. Ahmad that I met yesterday, but a lot of Singaporeans are feeling the pain of the bad policies of the outgoing government. Let them rest. They have taken many years to work hard for Singaporeans. Maybe it's time for new leaders to come up to serve Singaporeans. And let's not forget that when Mr. Lee Kuan Yew and his group of opposition leaders first came into power, they were also from the alternative opposition parties. And the brave Singaporeans of those years, think about it, they gave them that opportunity to come forward and serve. And today, you, the brave Singaporeans listening to me, especially the brave residents of Pasir Ris Punggol, have an opportunity to give us an opportunity to come in and serve you. Put your hand on your heart, touch your heart. Ask yourself again, has your life really gotten worse or better over the last 10 years? And we have been walking the ground for the last 13 years now. The SDA has been giving out daily lunches for, I think, the last 5 years very consistently, and in 7 different stations all over Pasir Ris Punggol. Many of you are volunteering and helping us. I want to say thank you for this. Also, many elderly who are stuck at home, they come down, they intermingle, they get a good meal, and not only the poor people benefit from this lunch program, but everyone else too. And I want to say thank you to all the volunteers, thank you to all the sponsors, thank you for everyone who has been contributing for this program. And if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Desmond Lim just told me a few days ago, we have distributed more than 3.5 million lunch boxes over the last 5 years. So every dollar counts. And as I shared earlier, if you missed the earlier part of today's presentation, go back, check on it. Even to have this video going viral and being boosted to more viewers in Singapore, Facebook says it can reach 1.3 million to 3.2 million Singaporeans for just a small sum of 50,000 US dollars. When I first saw that number, when I told that to my party members, they said smaller, 50,000 US smaller, too much for us, which is true. We then went and tweaked the outreach to see if we just targeted Pasir Ris Punggol GRC, because that's where we are representing Singaporeans, and the budget required for every one video to go boosted is US $8,000. Mr. Desmond Lim has very happily, and Mr. Abu, our senior leaders, come out with a very creative plan, which you may like, and it says, maybe come have a dinner with us, and we will be more than happy for you to sponsor that boost post itself. For me, being a junior to them, maybe have lunch with me for 5,000 US dollars, and I'll reach half of Pasir Ris Punggol. But this is what's needed. We need your support in terms of your talents. We need your support in terms of your ideas. We need your support in terms of money, of course, and most importantly in effort, energy, and most importantly in time. If you can give us your time, your effort, your money, your talents, your ideas, we will promise to go out there and be the best voice you will ever find in Parliament to speak up for you. And on that note, I also want to thank all the Singaporeans who are not actually, you can say, involved too much in the elections as candidates or maybe playing major roles, but they are still coming forward to help us, to write articles, to take photographs, to distribute flyers and contribute in every way. So it's not just money, but if you have ideas, we want your ideas. If you have certain talents, we need to tap on those talents. If you can put in your energy, your time, your effort, we need all your contributions, because let's remember, be part of the team, make Singapore better. Thank you. Coming back to it. So having walked the ground in Pasir Ris Punggol for the last 13 years now, we really feel the pain of the bad policies in every resident we speak to. Think about, I have shared this before, maybe you missed it, but I just want to say, think about the young graduates who are now working as supermarket supervisors. And some of them don't even have a supervisory position. They are working at a supermarket as a cashier, holding graduate degrees. And if you give me a few minutes, I will maybe share with you the solutions, the policy matters we have to solve and make the lives of these kind of young graduates much better. At the same time, think of that father who can't sleep at night because he has just lost his job. He's wondering, how will I take care of my children? How will I take care of my family? He's having sleepless nights. And then think of that old man who is still pushing trolleys in Changi Airport. Think about that old lady who is selling tissue paper, or the worst, that old lady we met on the road itself. We bought her lunch and we had a little conversation with her. And I'll tell you, all she said was, thank you for fighting, thank you for fighting, thank you for fighting, speaking for us. And she kept saying thank you. We said thank you to her instead for being part of the pioneer and Merdeka generation to build up Singapore to where it is. But I'll tell you something, what she said next was something that made me tear. And she says, no, I just worry this cardboard collect enough money to buy simple lunch. I tell you what she was worried about. She spoke in broken English, but her worry was if the cardboard that she has collected, is that enough to sell and have enough money just to buy a simple lunch? Is that what you want to face when you and I grow older? Is this the kind of lifestyle we want to have when we retire? Is this the dignified lifestyle that our pioneer and our Merdeka generations deserve after having built Singapore from third world to first world? We as a group of fellow Singaporeans, we should look, reflect and think about this, my friends, because this is not what you and I want to face as we grow older. And this is why we keep coming back, we keep fighting for the people in Singapore. And these are the people we are fighting for. But we can't do it alone. We need your support. We need your support, my friends. We need you to help us, vote for us and support us in every way, because we are not going to give up. These are the people we are fighting for. We will never give up. Because ask yourself, how can you give up? The SDA will always be here to fight for a better life for all Singaporeans, because we want our elderly to retire with dignity. We want our young and talented Singaporeans to find good jobs, and we want fathers to go to bed knowing their jobs are safe, families are happy, families are healthy, families are holy, families are wealthy, and families are wise, because happy, healthy and wise is what the motto of every Singaporean should be. And we demand the government, the irresponsible government, the outgoing government, to cut the spending on irresponsible, extravagant projects so that the cost of living can go down for all Singaporeans. And we will press for more assistance for needy families to build the nation's only resource we have. It is our only resource, the greatest resource Singapore has, maybe the only resource we have. It is our people, you, I, your loved ones, and all Singaporeans. For that, SDA has a heart for the people. We will always be by your side, but we need your support. We need you to help us today, and especially on polling day. On polling day, to vote for us, to give us your support, to have us in Parliament. And in the next part, I'll just quickly share why do we fight. Because I just saw a question. Balji, you lost for the last 2 times. Can I read to you the question if it's okay? Because I think it's a very, it's an important question. Very good question. The question says, Palji, for the last 2 elections, you did comparatively very well, getting 35.7% of the votes as you shared earlier, and being the third largest vote count in the last election. Yes, for those of you who've just joined us, in 2011 election, we had 35.7% of all votes in Pasir Ris Punggol. And in the last election in 2015, after the PAP and WP, SDA was the third largest, the best percentage vote count, the third one, not the best, but the third one. And we thank Singaporeans and the voters in Pasir Ris Punggol, and we look forward to your continued support. So he says here, after having lost the last 2 times, why do you keep coming back to fight for Singaporeans, especially in Pasir Ris Punggol? And I just want to say something. As I shared earlier, for 13 years we have been serving, but more importantly, let's put that aside. The contributions of SDA for the last many years, 13 years in Pasir Ris Punggol. Let me just give you the second big reason, and that is that for the longest time, the PAP-led government has been given a free ticket, my dear friends. A lot of people have told us they have a free ticket to do as they wish, and that's why they come out with policies and they flip-flop like a prata. I love to eat my roti prata too, but a lot of them people I met on the street say they flip-flop. Sometimes say wear a mask, sometimes says don't wear. If you wear a mask, then you don't really need it. You will deprive the medical workers who need it more. And then now they've flip-flopped to say you don't wear a mask, give us $300 fine and so on. A lot of people talk about HDB prices. we were told they will always keep going up and they will always appreciate, so that will be our retirement fund. But now we are told it's going to go down to zero. This issue nobody is talking about. In COVID-19, everybody has got confused about other smaller issues. But think about this, my dear friends. A HDB flat was supposed to be an appreciating asset for us to rely upon our retirement age. But today, forget about the fact that CPF funds are not coming out at 55 as we were promised. Then it became 57, then became 60, then 62. And now, hello, you don't get it as a lump sum. You get it every month, even as a $500. It's from age 65. And how can you survive with $500? I'll speak about that separately. But I come back to this. HDB was supposed to go up in value, but now it's going to go down to zero already. And many residents are meeting. They are worried about this, the dropping value of our HDB. Again, flopping here and there. And I'll tell you something. They have been able to do this because they have a free ticket. A free ticket to do whatever they wish for. And I tell you something. It was promised that the PAP government, especially during the time of Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, first G, second G leaders, they promised that they will plan for the long-term prosperity of all Singaporeans. I repeat the keywords, all Singaporeans. But is that really happening today? With the new G leaders, maybe they are not capable, or maybe they have forgotten, or maybe they are just overwhelmed with many other responsibilities with COVID-19. And like many Singaporeans who said they are totally disappointed with their performance during COVID-19. They do not want to see such bad performance in the next 5, 10, 15, or even the next 50 years. And maybe that's why you need to vote for us, the alternative parties, to come in, to have a different contribution, because we come from a varied backgrounds, we come from varied life experiences, and most importantly, we have varied ideas and not the same groupthink that they have been groomed for, and they will continue with if you do not give us a chance to be in parliament for you. Because think about this. I quote to you one of the, you can say, the think tank members in Singapore. They have said these words, and I can't remember who it was, but I remember they said the words, they are ruthless, they are selfish, and they are growth at all cost mantra. Three things, huh? They are ruthless, they are selfish, and their growth at all cost mantra. They are using that mantra has resulted in the suffering and yet more suffering for the average Singaporean like you and me. And that's why we continue to come back to fight for you again and again. Because think about it. A lot of people, I saw the comments yesterday on another post that we put up of all the pictures of our walkabouts. So if you haven't seen that, please go down and you will see a lot of pictures of all our walkabouts. And one of your friends commented, he said the new elite class of PAP leaders are mismanaging our country. They mismanage the COVID-19 pandemic. They are mismanaging a lot of other resources we have. And we don't want them to mismanage the rest of the country over the next 5 to 10 to 15, if not many years to that are coming up. And I remember the words. He said that what's worse, the new elite class of PAP leaders are mismanaging our countries. So for Singaporeans who are listening to me, please, we need your help. We cannot do this alone. We need you to forward, to share, to get this message out to everybody. Because just look at the last 10 years, and especially if you have friends who are staying in Pasir Ris Punggol, tell them to vote for SDA. We have fought for 2 elections there. We have been there for 13 years. We have a chance to win because all we need is the same 35.7% who voted for us in the 2011 election. And we were the third best percentage count in the last 2015 election after PAP and WP on a national level. And you have to be our ambassador. Forward this message to all. Tell them to ask themselves just a few questions. Number one, are they really happy today in Singapore as compared to the last 10 years? And if you are happy, go ahead, vote for the people in white. But if you are not happy, please give us a chance. Because I'll tell you something, $100 billion reserves were taken out in the last 100 days. A few months ago or a year or two ago, I remember reading about a global warming epidemic. And they said that over 100 years, we will need $100 billion to take care of global warming. Now, when that was mentioned, a lot of Singaporeans, and even me included, we were like, wow, $100 billion. And then when we heard it's over 100 years, we felt, never mind, that's a long time, and they're going to spread it out to take care of global warming. We felt it was okay. Very important. But in the last 100 days, my dear friends, they have already taken out $100 billion because of COVID-19 pandemic. 100 days, $100 billion. And it was from the reserves to benefit all Singaporeans. But I like what one of the ladies in white said. If you remember, she said, take 100 billion, divide by the population of Singaporeans, that should come up to about 23,000 over dollars per person. So I want you to ask yourself, touch your heart, ask yourself, why doesn't my bank account show $23,456? If it does show $23,456, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, easy to remember the number. If you do see 23,000 over dollars extra in your bank account in the last few months, then please vote for them. And if you do not have that money, if you only have that few $300 or a $100 voucher and then another $300, is that close to even the 23,000 that she calculated per person? She calculated from the people in white. They gave us that number. But we, the Singaporeans, average Singaporeans, everyone I meet at the doors, they said, I haven't got my 23,000 over dollars. So touch your heart. Ask yourself, why aren't we getting those $100 billion? Why isn't it coming to help the average Singaporeans? And if it is not, then you need to vote for us so we can find out and have them accountable. So we can go into Parliament to ask the right questions so we can speak up for you. Because I'll tell you something, just look at the last 10 years, my dear friends. Don't have to go too far. Just look at the last 10 years, and if you've got more points for me to share, put it in the comment box and I'll promise to bring up and raise them, not only in the next few video calls that we have with you or live telecasts we have with you, but also in Parliament. Because just look back at the last 10 years. You would realize that higher taxes are punishing the average Singaporean family. You would realize that housing has got so expensive that it is difficult for our youth to even start new families. And I'll tell you something very important. One of the uncles I was speaking to on the I think it was Punggol Mall, Punggol Plaza, Punggol Mall. I was speaking to him and he said to me one simple thing. He said, we complain our dropping infertility rate. We can't even replace our Singaporeans with enough babies. But how do you expect it? He says, my son can't even get a job that is enough to pay what a graduate should be earning or enough to pay for his loans that he took from university and then to pay for his living expenses. Forget about being able to afford the housing which has become too expensive. So young people we are meeting are saying their parents are telling us this. We are the sandwiched class. We have to take care of our retiring parents. We have to take care of our own younger babies. But many other Singaporean young people are saying, forget about even starting a family. I can't even afford to pay back my university loans. How to even pay for the down deposit of the HDB blocks because they're getting so expensive. Now, if our young people don't get married, they don't get a flat, and then we worry about our dropping infertility rate, and then we have to bring in more foreign talents to replace us, doesn't make any common sense. So we will be there to fight for you, to bring up these issues. But I need you to help me share this with more people, especially those living in Pasir Ris, Punggol. Forward this, share to them, copy the link so they will give us their vote on the 10th of July. Because the next part, I also tell you something. We have a broken, overcrowded and inefficient public transport system. Think about it, the last 10 years of problems. And some people said that's why maybe some ministers retire this year. Because they knew that the entire population is very angry about those issues. They are anyway going to get voted out. Now, I am not saying that. This is what Singaporeans told us as we go out door to door, as we go to MRT stations, as we meet them at shopping centers, as we speak to them in coffee shops. He says they retired quietly now because they know that it is a broken, it is an overcrowded, and it is a totally inefficient public transport system. For a first world country, you know, I know, that's very embarrassing. Very embarrassing. But the next point I'm going to share is one of the hottest issues that we are going to fight for you and stand up for. And we will do that. And it is the irresponsible immigration policies. The irresponsible immigration policies that are depriving talented Singaporeans of good jobs. So if you know somebody like that, or maybe you yourself are facing such problems, or your family members are going through that, then you know this is an important issue that we really need to raise. The irresponsible immigration policies of the outgoing government that are depriving our talented Singaporeans. I mean, we talk about world-class universities. We are talking about the pride of our Singaporeans are talented Singaporeans. Then why can't we get the best jobs? Why do we need to bring foreign talents into this country? Don't we have enough good people? And I know we do. I know each one of you who is listening to this, your parents, your families, your children, your loved ones, your relatives are talented enough, my dear friends. But we are not having fair economic or hiring or jobs policies. We need to enact such policies so that Singaporeans get an opportunity. And if you stay with me till the end, I'll share with you what our action plans for the SDA to do this. And maybe I've also shared that in other videos, and in the next few days, I'll continue to share this. Because I'll end off with something very important, the last 2 points on why we keep coming back. And the next point is so very important because a lot of Singaporeans that I'm meeting in Pasir Ris Punggol and all over Singapore, they are saying the rich are getting richer and the poor and middle class like us are getting hammered. Every one of us, the poor and the middle class, are getting hammered. And I'm not saying this. These are the cries of common Singaporeans like you and me. And Singaporeans, we need to stop this cycle. This is a vicious cycle. If it continues, then the rest of us, the poor, will continue to get poorer. The economic inequality will get even wider. The income inequality will get worse. And our Gini coefficient, all these difficult terms I'll explain in simple English later, are going to get worse for this country. And I remember even Professor Tomiko, our ambassador at large, said one thing. He said the bus driver, because he's a director in one of those bus companies, and they were debating whether we need to raise the salary of our CEO from already a $1.2 million to raise it further. And Professor Tomiko said, I asked them, what is your bus driver's salary? He said, in fact, I asked them about the Gini coefficient, and they couldn't understand what was that. That's very sad if they couldn't understand. But I'll tell you something. He said, when I was told it's 3,800 on the average for a driver, and they are thinking of raising the salaries of the CEO from 1.2 million to even higher. Now, I ask for forgiveness if my numbers are not accurate because I may have forgotten what I heard. But if I'm not mistaken, these are the numbers. So please don't pofma me for technical numbers like this. The concept behind this is important. Professor Tomiko himself said it doesn't take a rocket scientist to run a bus company. If I remember these words right, and Mr. Tomiko, if I meet you again, correct me if I said this wrong. Sorry, Professor Tomiko. If I remember your words, you said it doesn't take a rocket scientist to run a bus company. And they were thinking of raising the 1.2 million salary when a simple bus driver was earning 3,008 per month. Do you see the gap? Do you see that gap? And that gap is growing. The rich are getting richer, and every Singaporean that I meet in Pasir Ris Punggol, they are worried. They are worried, how do I take care of my my elderly parents? How do I take care of my younger children who want to now go to school and all that? And in between, how do I even bring my wife or my husband for a nice second honeymoon to revive our love, our affection, our joy for everyone? This is the sandwich generation. They are much more educated. We are much more educated. We see the true, you can say the lies that we have been told by them. Actually, Singaporeans are not really very happy. And if you are not happy, if you know someone who is in this situation, who is facing all these problems, then you, please have to forward this to everyone, share it with everybody, so everyone will understand the pains we are going through, and we can all come together for a better future for all Singaporeans. Because I end off with the last reason why. Why do we keep coming back? And the reason is actually what some of my party leaders reminded us as we came together on the very first day to be briefed and prepare for this election a few weeks ago. And they said, listen, Palji, the weak leaders from the PAP's inner circle and the current 4G, 3G generations have proven during the COVID-19 pandemic They have exposed their weak points, and they have exposed they're totally incapable of steering Singapore through tough times. And I remember saying this earlier, that there were many residents who do feel the same too. The weaker leaders from the PAP's inner circle, especially the 3G, 4G leaders, are just not qualified enough, not matured enough, not, you can say, they have not experienced the real life issues as much as many of the other Singaporeans. And if they can come up with such policies which didn't actually help Singaporeans during the COVID-19, and I don't want to tell you the numbers, but over 40,000 for such a small country. Think about it. It is something very shameful and something painful for us to bear. But they have actually exposed during the COVID-19 pandemic that they are incapable of steering Singapore through tough times. And that's why you need to vote for us. You need to give us your support. You need to give us that strength to be there in numbers to steer Singapore for the next 5 years, 15 years, if not 50 years. Because I'll end off with this to tell you, think about it, touch your heart. Ask yourself, Singapore has achieved prosperity from third world to first world, but prosperity for who? Are the common Singaporeans, are you and I, are your loved ones and my loved ones really benefiting? Where are the $23,456 that each one of us Singaporeans should have got during this pandemic? Now, if you take that money, and if the government says it's going to be a 1 year long pandemic, every year give us not every year, every month, just give us about $2,000 in a year. That will also come up to about $23,456. And if you multiply by the number of Singaporeans, that will also be 100 billion. Now, that is what we would have proposed. Now, if the pandemic is going to stretch over 2 years, let's say, then take that same 100 billion, divide by the number of Singaporeans, comes to 23,456. Over 2 years, just give us $1,000 to every Singaporean. Wouldn't that extra $1,000 help you during this pandemic? Wouldn't that extra money per household member? So if you have 4 people in your family, 4,000 extra dollars over 2 years every month, that still comes to 100 billion. Now, that is how we would have done things differently, and we can still do it. Because we need your support, we need a new team, we need a new way of thinking, we need new paradigms, we need new ideas, we need new talents, we need us, the new people, to be there with you, for you, and stand up for you. 100 billion in 100 days, my dear friends. Have you benefited from it? Ask yourself, where are my not 100 billion, where are my personal $23,456? And if you have that, then give the vote to the incumbent party. But if you don't have $23,456, then let me remind you, that number adds up to 100 billion that they have taken out from the reserves, which was money from the pioneer Merdeka generations. Yes, from the first G, second G leaders of our country. And where due credit is due, let's give them credit. They brought us from the third world to first world country status. And Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, as I said earlier, was an opposition leader at that time. And the pioneer generations gave the opposition leaders of those time, like Mr. Lee Kuan Yew and his friends, their vote. Today, you have to be brave like them. On the 10th of July, touch your heart, ask yourself, why is my bank account not showing the $23,456? And if you don't have that money, if your loved ones don't have the money, then give us a chance, vote for SDA. But of course, if you have 23,456 given to you during the COVID-19, then carry on voting for them. But everyone, most of the people we are meeting, they are saying, no, Palji, prosperity has not come down to the common Singaporean. Singapore has achieved prosperity, but for who? Ask yourself. And that's why most Singaporeans are meeting. They can no longer trust that a central government just led solely by one party, the PAP, will bring prosperity and happiness to us Singaporeans. Singaporeans, I repeat, can no longer trust that one party-led government will bring happiness, prosperity, and progress for our nation. No, they cannot do it. And that's why we need multiple parties to be represented. You need to at least give us this vote in Pasir Ris Punggol to the Singapore Democratic Alliance so that we can help you. We can be the voice for you, and we can make Singapore much better for you. In the next few videos, I will also be sharing with you the core pain points pain points that are faced by Singaporeans. There are 4 major ones we have identified. I will just read to you, and please promise me, if possible, to keep watching our videos. The first one will be on the spike in the cost of living, which a lot of people are complaining about. Number 2 will be, more importantly, about the loss of good jobs for young Singaporeans due to the lax immigration policies, and this is very irresponsible. It is a core pain point that many Singaporeans, average Singaporeans, are facing. Number 3, most importantly, the CPF savings. We believe it is a broken retirement scheme, and we need to make improvements to the scheme. That's number 3. And number 4, the biggest pain point is the widening gap between those people who have it, the rich getting richer, and those who don't have it, the have-nots, the poor, average, and the middle-class Singaporeans who are facing a lot of social inequality issues. Of course, beyond that, I also spoke about HDB prices going down to 0. That is something everyone is telling me, maybe because I'm knocking on the HDB doors on Pasir Ris Punggol, and people living there are worried. It's going to go to 0, Palji. What are you going to do about that? And many other issues about immigration policies, and many other issues about the aging population, the sandwich class, young graduates unable to get jobs, reviving the economy during this post-COVID-19 pandemic period, and many other issues are going to be there that we're going to fight for. And what are we fighting for, and what are we going to do, is basically in one word summarized as fighting for the dignity of the people of Singapore. These policy proposals are targeted at helping you and me, your loved ones and my loved ones, at different stages in their life to live a life of dignity. It's to help us Singaporeans, think about it, to live a life of dignity and enjoy personal prosperity. And this is our promise. The SDA promises to challenge the PAP-led government and to press the government to implement policy changes that will benefit all Singaporeans, not just a few elite class. And this is important because our policies are crafted by people who are 100 times smarter than me. These are the think tanks. Some of them are professors and university lecturers and polytechnic lecturers. They don't come forward to speak because they give me all the material, and sometimes when you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at the notes, I'm looking at the screen to make sure I don't miss any of the important points they have given us. And they see the main core pain points, and they have crafted all these policy matters that we will bring up with the staunch belief in mind that Singapore is for all Singaporeans and not just the elite. I repeat that Singapore is for all Singaporeans, for you and for me and the entire whole race, these people, this group of us called Singaporeans, and not just for the elite. So we need your support. I'd like to thank you once again for joining us. And as I end, maybe I'll take 1 minute, but promise me to watch the future videos and share it with everybody. Because what are we fighting for, and what are the action steps? Number 1, remember, we will address the burden of high cost of living by reducing GST and cutting spending on the extravagant public projects. In fact, for the you'll be happy to know this is something a lot of Singaporeans are saying, I wish you take over as the government immediately, because the next sentence that I'm going to say is that the SDA proposes on a progressive GST taxation system that will go down from as low as only 3% to 15%. Now the 3% will be for basic goods, which will be taxed the least, and the 15% will be, of course, for luxury goods. Basic goods meaning things like food, things like common household products and other essential items. We, the SDA, are proposing to reduce the GST to 3% for these basic items. Very important. So we need to be voted in. Also, maybe we are also going to fight for the fact that a lot of money is spent irresponsibly on over extravagant projects, and we need to start cutting down so the cost of living in Singapore goes down too. And the second thing we're going to bring up and fight for on behalf of all of you, my dear friends, is to tackle social inequality by giving the disadvantaged Singaporeans a shot at success, especially the middle class and the poorer Singaporeans. Because let's not forget, as I said earlier, and I will repeat this and you can quote me, the only resource Singapore really has is our people. Yes, the only resource we have as a country are our people, you and I and your loved ones. And we need to make sure that everyone is taken care. We're going to use a lot of modern technological equipment, conducive aftercare, school care for dedicated in centers near the homes, and also maybe caregiver tutors to those who need the motivation, who need coaching, mentoring, and who need that extra help. Because I tell you, there are 100,000, more than 100,000 disadvantaged Singaporean families who are living in a cycle of poverty. More than 100,000 disadvantaged fellow Singaporeans. Now that is a very sad number for a first world country, and we are not spending enough of the national budget on education, on health and social protection. I told you I will share with you the numbers. Think about South Korea, think about Thailand. Both these countries near us, they spend 50% of the national budget on three things: education, health and social spending, social protection. But in Singapore, being a first world country, we are not even spending 40. If I remember the number right, is only about 39% of our budget, compared to some of our neighbors spending even up to 50% on education, health and social protection. We need these policy matters to be looked at, and we need to be voted in to be able to do that on your behalf. The third thing, everyone knows this, I don't need to dwell too much again upon it, but we all are growing old. One day you and I will also be of that 55, 58, 60, 62 retirement age, and our CPF is broken. We need to fix this broken retirement scheme, because I'll tell you something very sad. A lot of elderly Singaporeans who I met, they held my hand, and this elderly lady couldn't even stop shaking, and because of which my hand was shaking. This was at the next to Pasir Ris MRT station, the mall there. She was actually holding my hand and she said these words, "It is better to die than fall sick." Oh my, let that digest for a while. An elderly Singaporean being afraid of falling ill, of being sick, and rather choose to die because the cost is just so high. And they can't even tap on the CPF as much as they need because they're not given out the lump sum. And no wonder, let's not deny, it is no surprise that the suicide rates among Singaporeans, elderly citizens are leaping up and up. And we in SDA propose a tweak to our system, which will still take care. There will be a component that will be reserved for MediSave and MediShield Life, but they will be able to take out maybe the full amount when they hit the retirement age of 62. Because let's not forget, the retirement age we were promised was 55. Now it's already 7 years later, and we want them to have a life of dignity. And not just them, let's not talk about them. You and I are going to be old too. And I'll tell you something, how much is enough is $1,379 for a single elderly person. If there are two, a couple, an elderly couple needs about $2,351 per month to have a wonderful, maybe not a so wonderful, just enough money for a good life. And if it's a single person between 55 to 64, they are still looking at about $1,721 a month. Now, when we give 500 to these elderly people from their CPF every month, how will they come out with the balance amount from 500 all the way up to $1,379 for an elderly Singaporean above 65, or 2,351 for a couple, or even if they are between 55 to 64 years of age, they still need $1,721. My dear friends, the minimum sum is going up, and so many Singaporeans cannot even meet that minimum sum. I think it's about 47%. I'll check for you once again. But more importantly, they're getting 500 a month after 65. Where got enough? Maybe need to watch that Money Not Enough. That movie, Money No Enough, if I remember the name right. But the last and the fourth issue, I know you're laughing. I mean, these are serious issues, but since we are having a heart-to-heart conversation, we can also laugh about it, but these are serious issues and we need to be voted in. Because the fourth issue is the most important. It is that we, the SDA, will push for good jobs for all Singaporeans by curbing irresponsible immigration policies. I repeat, we need to have good jobs for our own Singaporeans first, by curbing the irresponsible immigration policies. And don't get me wrong, I am not against foreigners coming here to work. Neither is anyone in the SDA. Am I right, gentlemen? All of us, we know that these foreign talents are also coming here to look for a good job to make their lives better. But we are forgetting that we need to put Singaporeans first, because this is our land. Where are we going to go and find a better job? And when we retire, we got to come back here and we need to sustain ourselves too. So we're going to have multiple points that I'm going to share with you in the next few videos, what we're going to do about this too. So don't forget to watch and keep in touch with us. Share this, because I'll end off with this. The only way to improve the plight of you and me and every Singaporean, my dear friend, is to vote in good leaders who can understand and who can care for people. Vote in good leaders like us who can understand your needs, because we understand how you feel. We understand not only how you feel, but a lot of other people, whatever they shared. And the reason we understand how you feel is because we understood how they felt, and we found, in fact, they also found, and that's how we came to this conclusion, that the only way to have a better future for all Singaporeans is if we have good leaders who understand, and number two, care for the people. Leaders like us who promise to listen to you, my dear friends. Number two, leaders like us who will involve you, the people, in the decision making. More importantly, leaders like us who will challenge the PAP-led government to correct the bad policies that are resulting in the suffering of all Singaporeans. And most importantly, leaders like us who have strong foundations in the community of Pasir Ris Punggol, where we have been serving residents for the last 13 years. So today's topic, and I know a lot of your comments and questions were, what is your take on the three-corner fight? And by the way, Pasir Ris Punggol GRC is the only GRC having a three-corner fight. So the answer is, we are, of course, very disturbed by it initially, because it would have been better to have a one-on-one with the incumbent party like we had for the last two general elections. But the wise people and even the residents of Pasir Ris Punggol have reminded us, don't give up. Because after nomination, we went down to Pasir Ris MRT, we went down to the blocks, and we have been still meeting residents every day. This morning at the food courts, at the pasar, at the wet markets, and everywhere. And I'll tell you, they have told us, don't give up, because 35.7% of Pasir Ris Punggol residents voted for SDA in the year 2011 when I first stood for elections there. And in the last general election in 2015, we were the third best percentage count after PAP, WP. The Singapore Democratic Alliance had the third best count of voting percentage in Pasir Ris Punggol again on an overall national count. So even if just the same 35.7% of you who supported us in the previous elections vote for us this time, we still have a chance to be your representative in Parliament. But you need to go to every door, knock on your neighbor's door, tell everybody you meet in public, please vote for SDA. Please forward these videos to everyone. Like I said, the cost of boosting is $8,000 just to reach $8,000 US just to reach the Pasir Ris Punggol residents. That's the cost for one video. And if you want to reach the rest of Singapore, that's over $50,000 US. We don't have $1 million salaries. We have small budgets. We cannot afford these kind of Facebook boost posts like everyone else is suggesting we do. We don't have these kind of money. If you want to sponsor, we will be more than happy and thankful to accept your sponsorship. If you like, your name can be on every boost post that we do. But if you don't want your name to appear, we will also respect your privacy, and your names will not appear on any of the boost posts. So if you can contribute not only money, but talents, your ideas, your time, your energy, your effort, your strength, your wisdom, we need to, because together as a team, we can achieve more. And I end off with this. When you elect us, I thank you for this time. And when you elect us in Parliament, in the last few minutes that I have, we will be better able to be the voice of all Singaporeans in Parliament, especially Pasir Ris Punggol. Number two, when you elect us to Parliament on the 10th of July, when you vote for SDA, we will challenge policies which lead or which have led in the past to greater suffering for Singaporeans, the average Singaporeans, and we will fight against those policies. But the most important, I promise you, you give us your vote on the 10th of July and we will involve you and every Singaporean in policy making decisions and champion the policies that will put all of us Singaporeans first, because we are proud to say it again, Singapore, my land. So I really hope that you'll give us your support in this election. And I ask for forgiveness if in this you can say interaction I may have made some mistakes in sharing, and I'm very sorry about it, because this is also something new for us. We are unable to hold the big rallies in the field, so we are trying to connect with you every now and then on these videos. So please like this page, please like all the pages of Singapore Democratic Alliance and also the Singapore Justice Party, and most importantly maybe our YouTube channel too. And if possible, comment. Send us a WhatsApp message and tell us what are the policy matters and what are the ideas you have and how we can improve. And on that point, I want to thank everyone who has messaged me over the last few days, few weeks. And if you want, click on the messenger button and please tell us how we can make the lives of Singaporeans, especially yourself, your family, your loved ones, even much better and better. So let us be the voice of all Singaporeans, and let us be your voice. And most importantly, let us be the voice of those Singaporeans who are unable to voice their problems, their anxieties, and their concerns. We will always be with you on your side. Once again, I thank you on behalf of the Singapore Democratic Alliance. We have very good 5 very well qualified. You were looking at their pictures on the posters behind, and if I'm not mistaken, I don't know whether the faces are big enough, but go to our websites. Go to our Facebook pages and you will see more of us there. Interact with them. Together, we will make this country a better place for the next 5, 10, 15, if not 50 years. As long as we live, we will always be by you, on your side. On behalf of all the candidates and all the members of the Singapore Democratic Alliance, I thank you for your time this evening. I request you humbly to please share this video with everybody. Watch it again and again so you remember the main 4 points that we're going to be fighting for you. And if you have another 40 points, give it to us. I promise you, none of your points will be ignored, and we will speak, we will stand up, we will defend, and we will be the best voice you can have in Parliament. I thank you once again. Have a good night, have a good evening, have a good day ahead, depending on what time you are listening to this. But I hope to see you also in person after this COVID-19 situation is, better. And most importantly, please do take care of yourself, stay safe. And as I shared my hospital experience just last week, I really want to tell you something. It's important we take self-responsibility, because the bad policies of the previous government has left a lot of cracks, and it's going to affect us all badly. So thank you, my dear friends. Look forward to talking to you again and speaking to you in person too very soon. Thank you once again. Have a beautiful time ahead. I'm your pal, Harminder Singh, Singapore Democratic Alliance. Singapore Democratic Alliance. Thank you once again. Vote for Singapore Democratic Alliance. Thank you.